Welcome to 5 Haunting Questions.
On this week's episode, I would love to introduce you to my good friend Mj Dickson. I spent almost 2 weeks with MJ in the UK while I was over there. We went to cemeteries, historical places, she taught me how to use a tube, we saw the changing of the guard, and MJ was highly amused by my love of squirrels and anything critter-like. So with no further ado, let's get on with the episode. So let's welcome in MJ. And here she is. So as I've told you, MJ does many, many things. She wears many, many hats. I came to the UK, MJ, didn't I? And spent a couple of fun. Yeah, it was. Spent a couple of weeks with MJ there, and it was really good fun. And MJ and I actually went to the Ancient Ram Inn. What's the name of the town again, MJ? I always forget. I can't remember.
Wooten Under Edge?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, can't remember. Yeah. It was a cute little town, but yeah, we had fun there. So I'll show you guys that at a later date. I'll talk about that. So MJ, I've given you a brief intro, but do you want to tell people what your main, about your webpage and what your main thing is, what you mainly do, which is, I tell you what, people, just sit there for about half an hour because it's a lot.
I was going to say, how much time do we have?
Yeah,
first and foremost, I am a paranormal researcher and a psychic medium. So I just love telling stories. I love going into locations and investigating, finding out the history and that, and exploring all things weird. So whether I'm writing a book about it or whether I'm doing a show about it, I like telling stories and investigating anything weird. So I think that's sort of my main thing. I've produced TV shows and, host events. I could sit here forever and tell you all the details.
And aside from that, guys, the description of this video, there's going to be links to everything that MJ does. So there'll be links to her webpage, her books, her TV shows, everything. So fear not, you'll be able to find it all. When I was with MJ in the UK, one of the things that she does is the event that you organise. What would you call it? What is it? Like a tour? Like a what was the name of it? What did we do?
The Dark Departures Paranormal Holiday Tour. So I organise those in the UK and in the States. I mean, I've done paranormal cruises. I've done all sorts of things. So basically, it's a paranormal holiday, and we investigate. We stay in haunted places. We go to some cool bars and restaurants, and we do touristy things and historic buildings. Anything weird. That's great.
Yep. And it was really, that's what I did, guys, for the first almost 2 weeks of the trip with MJ. And the knowledge that you have is incredible. And when MJ's, my thoughts, people, on people who say, I'm a medium, this one, I can't, I'm always skeptical, but no, certainly the spidey senses went up a few times with MJ. It's, if you want to go on a trip with someone who knows what they're talking about, you need to check out MJ's page. She's got holidays. She's got a couple coming up next year and all that sort of thing. She does them in America, in England, and she just knows everything. That's what I'll say. She knows everything.
I try.
Yeah, I know. And so for everybody that's watching, I normally ask, what was the very first thing from memory that you can think of that actually had you, I'm assuming it was your gift, but what was the first time you thought, what is this? I've got a, and I know it's a complicated answer because of family, but what is it? What is it that drew you into it to begin with?
There are a few things that really stand out from my childhood. I mean, one, you know, I think back about it now, and obviously when you're a kid, you don't quite understand, but I'm fifth generation psychic medium. And so I was raised with all things paranormal and spiritual being completely normal. It was my everyday. And I remember being like 4 years old, and I was making popcorn with my mom. And I had this big bowl of popcorn, and I grabbed the salts, and I ran to her and I asked her to put the salt on because she always complained that I put too much on. And I kind of met her at the spare bedroom door where she was sorting out the laundry, and she was just packing some laundry ready for ironing on the spare room bed. And we met at the doorway, and I remember looking into the room and seeing a man laying on the bed, or this figure of a man, as if you would lay someone in a coffin.
Oh.
And I looked at him, and I looked at my mom, and I went, "Mummy, who's that man?" And she was in utter shock, obviously. She kind of looked into the room, looked back at me, and burst into tears and fainted. I was like, "Oh, this is great. Something's wrong with Mom." So I dropped the bowl of popcorn. There's popcorn everywhere. I'm freaking out, trying to see what's wrong with my mom. I'm grabbing her. She came to, and she's like, "Oh, no, not you too." As a child, I never understood it. The idea of playing video games with my brother and not having to clean up popcorn was way better. So I was just like, la, 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 la. You're like, "Okay, Mom's fine. I'm not cleaning up the popcorn. Bye." So I didn't understand that as a child. It was only when I was older where I was like, "Oh, hang on a second." That was sort of my first experience seeing a full-bodied apparition. But it was also the moment my mom realized that the psychic abilities had been passed down another generation. And then later on in life, I mean, I was in my 20s. I think I was like 22, where the same person that I had seen when I was 4 was stood at the end of my bed. And I woke up with this person. They woke me up, and they were trying to tell me something. And I freaked out completely. I had an absolute panic attack. And that was the moment that I realized you can't run from this. You're going to embrace it, and you're going to learn about it, or these things are just going to keep happening, and they're going to terrify you. Yeah, so that was kind of where I went into, okay, what do I do with this now? And it took me years. I mean, it was only when I released my first book, 2 years ago, that I actually came out of the mediumship closet, because I never liked telling people that I was a medium. I didn't.
Yeah, for the very reason that people go, sure you are.
Exactly. So it took me a really long time to tell my story, and the things that I'd experienced growing up and how I developed my mediumship. And it was only because I've met so many other closet mediums, or people who didn't realize that they were psychic mediums.
Yep.
And just wanted to help them. So yeah, that's probably the two.
Yeah, and that's when you wrote that first book, which I don't have. I've got your second one. Have you got that first one there to show?
The copy. So it has the not for resale thing on, but it's Never Goodbye, Only Good Night, Lessons from the Afterlife. And it's like 85 short stories. And these are my aha moments where I realized that, oh, hey, like they can move things, or hey, this is how the afterlife communicate. So yeah, but they're little stories of things I experienced, and hopefully they help other people.
Yeah. And then it could help other people with grief as well. It's absolutely. I think so. MJ suffered a loss that was horrible, and we sort of bonded over that in a way, didn't we? So so for a good read, that'll be, and I should get it because I don't have it. I have MJ's second book, sign just for me beneath the African sky, because MJ, actually, you grew up in South Africa, didn't you? Like that.
I did.
And I was talking about this on my channel last week to explain to people, but MJ did grow up in South Africa. And normally I ask people about this point in time, do you believe in aliens? But I'm not going to ask you that question. I mean, do you?
By the way.
Yeah, by the way.
Short story.
Yeah, long story. But I thought everybody would be really fascinated with I sort of skip all over the place, don't I, people? When I was with MJ, she allowed me to watch a video that she'd put together of a recent trip to South Africa, where she got all the information and put together for this book too, wasn't it, really?
Yes. It was the behind-the-scenes footage of the book.
Yes, and it was fascinating. I was watching it and I'm like, oh, wow, MJ, well, you can tell people who you spoke to, everyone from witch doctors to just people, and there's mermaids, and I'll let MJ tell it.
It was such an adventure because I grew up between Zimbabwe and South Africa. I was born in Zimbabwe, raised between the two countries. And in Southern Africa, you grow up with things like cryptids being part of everyday stories. You know, so we have very strange cryptids and very weird beliefs and superstitions. And when I was growing up, I never really thought much about them because, again, it's your everyday. Yeah. And so after living in the UK for nearly 15 years, and I've traveled the world in search of all things weird, I was like, I haven't been back home in almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. What would it be like to go home now with the knowledge that I have now to explore all things supernatural? And so I set out on a month-long trip, 2 weeks in Zimbabwe and 2 weeks in South Africa. And I had nothing planned. It was kind of like, hey, does anyone know a witch doctor? Sure, let's organize like a day to go and visit a witch doctor. Or I'd be having a conversation with someone. And one of the things, one of the random things that happened is I went on a fishing day down by the lake. And this guy that I'm standing there with fishing, he's like, he looks at the lake and he's like, there's mermaids in here. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Could you repeat that? I was like, could I film you saying this? And so I stumbled upon all of these stories. So basically the whole book is my month-long trip in Africa, just traveling with friends and exploring anything weird that I could find. Mm-hmm, yeah, I did psychic readings with a witch doctor, a juju lady, sangomas. Oh my gosh, I interviewed as many people as I could. I just dove into all of it, man. There's everything. There's aliens, cryptids, ghosts, everything.
Yeah, and of course, the aliens thing for you was at the school. The school landing.
Aerial school, yeah.
So, and is that in the book?
It is. There's an entire chapter of it. I spoke to one of the school children who was the first to witness the craft flying overhead. And so it was really fascinating to hear a first-hand account of what happened that day. And again, I stumbled upon that, just a friend of my aunt that had turned up at the house, and we were sitting having a glass of wine, and she was like, oh, I've seen aliens. And I'm like, what? What the hell? I was like, okay, let's talk about this now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's all sorts of.
And I'm looking forward to reading it, MJ. I haven't started yet because MJ's got a lovely friend called Russell who's written a book about Jack the Ripper. And I was
good. It's so good.
So I'm reading that one. So MJ's book's next. And I'll tell you guys all about that as well, because MJ, that's another thing. MJ knows people. So we went, MJ and I and some others went on the Jack the Ripper, basically walked in his footsteps, didn't we? With Russell, who wrote the book. And for those of you who know anything about it, Russell is the one who got the scarf and got the DNA. The shawl. So in regards to other things you do, let people know, just name drop, feel free to. Name drop people that you've produced. Now, MJ's a producer, and sometimes when she produces a TV show, usually for which channel, Travel or Discovery?
Both. So I've done work for Travel Channel, Discovery, for T&E, for Sky TV, for like Canada, UK, Europe, all sorts, America.
Yep.
So I've worked on some very interesting shows, some really fun ones. So I've worked on, oh my gosh, I got to remember, Hotel Paranormal, In Search of the Paranormal, Most Terrifying Places, Most Terrifying with Jason Hawes, Destination Fear. What else? Zach Bagan's new one. It's airing in America right now. Destinations of the Damned. Oh my goodness!
And you're actually in one of those episodes, aren't you? The Scared In one.
I am in one of those episodes.
Yes, and it's and she didn't think she was going to be people. It was like put on her at the last moment. But I did try to watch it because I knew it was out. But because I'm in Australia, whenever I would try to bring it up, bad luck. It's not available. It's not available. So I'll just have to wait.
I can't watch it either yet, which is really frustrating.
Yeah. I'll just have to wait until somebody does something sneaky and puts it on YouTube or something. I don't know. There'll be a way. Somehow there'll be a way to watch it.
Don't do that.
So as you can see, MJ's really she just does a heap of stuff, and I was so pleased to the way I met MJ was many moons ago. Many moons ago. It has to be
maybe like 13.
It has to be. Yeah, because my little girl was in kinder. She was 4 when a mutual friend gave me your name, and I checked you out on the Facebook, and I'd keep an eye on everything that MJ was doing, so really I've been watching her from her very beginnings, and I used to, I'd see her put something up and I'd go, oh, that's really good, and I was really thrilled, but she was so far away, so I sort of slowly thinking, gee, she's doing a lot lately. Oh gosh, now she's doing that. And so you've grown really, you've gone from this one person starting this little thing that you were trying to do to now look at you. Well, you're a busy. It's your job. It's your career.
Yeah. It's my full-time career now, all things spooky, and I love it. I've been fortunate enough to see the world, investigate hundreds of locations worldwide. I've worked with the most incredible people and just the loveliest people, whether it's been television, whether it's been research for blogs or books or my Patreon or whatever it is. I've been able to make a very interesting and fun career out of it, which not many people get to do. So I'm super grateful. And I don't intend on stopping anytime soon.
No, I hope not. And I do hope at some point in the future, who knows when, but maybe I can make my way over to America and come on one of those tours with you. I'd love to do it. What's the one you're doing next year? Is that
New Orleans?
New Orleans, yes. And again, because of the people that MJ knows and because of the places she's been over the years, I mean, you'll get to see things you wouldn't normally get to see. So like I say, everything's going to be in the description, but I would say check out MJ's webpage, Sage Paranormal, and her Patreon. Patreon is where you'll get to see all of the stuff because MJ doesn't have a YouTube channel. She's got Patreon, and she's got...
I do now.
Do you?
I do.
Well, that will also be in the links. Oh, terrific.
Well, I started a YouTube channel, oh my gosh, years ago. And I just
I am subscribed to it, but there was nothing on it, so I wasn't
there was nothing on it. So it was there. But then I we did a little independent show called In Search of the Paranormal. And so I shoved a whole bunch of the episodes, like all the episodes that I have, I've put on there. And then I actually literally, right before we started talking, just shared out a link to something on YouTube that I've just uploaded. And it's a new project, a really fun project that I'm doing with my husband. And it's called Food, Booze, and Booze. So ghosts, drinks, and good food, and where to stay. It's like a travel show, a haunted travel show. And we're doing this for ourselves. It's a bit of fun, and we thought we'd take everyone on the journey with us. So it's just really cool places to stay, investigate, eat, drink, have a good time, and everything has a ghost story. So yeah.
Well, there'll definitely be a link to that because I've watched the episode that you've shared, haven't I? I watched that, and I've met I've met MJ's mum, and I've met MJ's husband.
Met the whole family.
The whole family. And if you are in the UK, and I know a lot of you are, if you're ever in where Shakespeare lives,
Stratford upon Avon.
Thank you. Where he lives, where he lived. There's a restaurant. Well, there's a restaurant there called the Boathouse. It's a boathouse, isn't it?
Yes,
the Boathouse. And Duncan works there. He's the is he the chef? He's not. He's just manager. He's a general manager, but he can cook. But the food, I have to say, in the whole trip, and this isn't me being a suck up, all right, but the whole trip, all the food we ate was fine, but at the Boathouse, oh my God, it was delicious. Special. And if you do go there and you have dessert, you to get the sticky toffee pudding. Sticky toffee pudding? Sticky toffee
100% get the sticky toffee pudding. It's
the best. Don't put any other dessert. Get that one. But this episode that MJ, because we're up to the last question now. You see, because I was going to say, what have you got that's coming up that you want people to have a look at? So this particular episode, MJ's talking about. She's with Duncan, her husband, and that's their traveling, and it's so cute and it's lovely, so check it out, and I'll share it out soon, and hopefully people will go watch it. But yes, anything
on YouTube now, yay! So the channel is In Search of the Paranormal with MJ, I think.
I think so. Whatever it is, just check the description, guys. I'll write MJ's YouTube channel in big capital letters, and I'll put a link.
And then, I have my Patreon. This is Patreon page maintenance week, where I clean up all the old stuff that we no longer need, and leave you with all the good content. So we have workshops, we have haunted object research, we have blogs, videos, tutorials, I don't know, everything. And all the recipes from Food, Booze, and Booze. Any of the recipes you'll find on there. We have a full online book of shadows. So if you're into all things witchy and spiritual, there's all of that. There's podcast videos. There's, oh my gosh, basically anything I create gets put on Patreon.
I am a member. I have joined the Patreon page, MJ's Patreon page, because I love the stuff she does. I really do. I can't talk any more highly of you, because I just absolutely, she's a gem. Okay. So it's chockers full. You can't be bored. If you go over to the Patreon and you join up, there's so much stuff. And like I say, there's workshop, or like MJ says, there's workshops there, and the episodes of the food, booze, and booze.
There's episodes of some other shows that I've worked on. I think there's over 100 hours of footage to watch now, whether that's lectures by friends of mine in the paranormal community. We do an online convention once a year, and so those lectures are all recorded, and there's a whole bank. It's called the Sage Tribe Video, Sage Video Vault. And if you go in there, there's lectures about anything and everything. There's road trip videos, paranormal road trips that you can do. history lessons. Oh my goodness, there's like everything.
Yep.
I just constantly create and keep uploading.
And as I say, people, I did spend a couple of weeks there with MJ, and she did come along with me to the ancient Ram Inn because that was one place she hadn't been. So it was really cool. And I think I'll pop out a little episode about it anyway, but I'm pretty sure with the things that MJ and I were discussing and talking about, I think we scared any ghosties away, didn't we? They didn't want to talk to us. I think they're like, oh, no, we can't. We're not, number one, we can't scare them. And number two, we're not allowed to tell them anything. That's kind of how I felt. Like, we're asking all the questions we're not allowed to answer. That's how it felt. But it was it was very good there. And it was fun doing it with MJ. And just the couple of weeks I spent with her and the amount of stuff that I learnt from MJ. So I'm very, very honoured to call you a friend. And she's an awesome lady, guys. Go check out MJ's Patreon and now her YouTube channel and her web page, and get the book. If you like to read, get the book. It's available everywhere. I think Amazon and Amazon is where you'll get the book. And definitely, I'm definitely reading it. I especially want to read the one about the lady, the story with the aliens. That particular lady didn't want her name known, did she?
No, not at all.
She did it first, didn't she? She did it first, and then she was, wait, no, I don't.
Yeah, she went back on it. And she was like, no, actually, I don't want to. You can tell everyone what I said, but I'd rather not have my name.
And I would dare say that was because at the time, a lot of those people that saw that happen were ridiculed, and it wasn't a good time for them.
I don't want to spoil anything in the book. Man, there are some bizarre people and stories in that. Like the most interesting conversations, like an African princess who's also a psychic medium. And just really random interviews and discoveries. It was really cool. There's some really funny moments, some sad moments, but yeah.
And I've encouraged MJ. I don't think she needs much encouragement really, but I was discussing how everyone hears about the UK. Well, I don't hear that much about the UK, but everyone definitely hears about American haunted places. Yeah. But South Africa is somewhere that we don't really hear about, and MJ's been to all these places, and I'd be fascinated. So maybe one day MJ can go back and make some kind of series on it. Wink, wink,
well, now that you say that, about that, I'm actually going back in January.
Very good.
So
we did have a discussion, so it's come through, has it?
Yes. So I'm going home in January. I'm actually going to be writing my third book. I've already started writing some of it and doing all the research. And it is Haunted South Africa. So my top most haunted locations throughout 2 different provinces in South Africa. We have 9 provinces, so that would take a while. But I'm going to focus on sort of Johannesburg and Pretoria area in Gauteng. And then I'm going down to the Western Cape to focus on Cape Town. There's some really cool legends and haunted places there. So that's the next book. That's all the spooky stories. I'm going to go and investigate all of these locations. I will be filming all of it myself. And that would all be the behind the scenes footage that you can see on Patreon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you want to see the first episode of the behind the scenes footage from Zimbabwe and South Africa, you can, or it's the first episode Zimbabwe, but you can check it out on my YouTube, Beneath the African Sky. I have that
Is that the one I watched with you? Oh, you got to watch it. I'm putting the links to everything. You got to watch that one, guys. It's so cool. Witch doctors and magic spells.
Cool, right?
But
all of that is I always share the first episode of everything on my YouTube. And if people like it, you can sign up to my Patreon. Either way, I don't know what it is in in Australian dollars, but it's £4.50 a month.
Yeah, it's not much.
And things.
Yeah.
So you get behind the scenes footage. So yeah, if you sign up now, you'll go through the whole writing process. You read chapters on Patreon before the book is released. As I write them, I give you all the behind the scenes, and you get the videos. Come and hang out. I'll take you to Africa.
Yep. Oh, and last thing I'll say, because this is what I do every time. I always say I'm going to go. Okay, we're going now. Bye. And then I keep talking. Next year, I want to say, was it October next year? You're going to Virginia City to be with. Is it then? Are you still going to that? Or you're not sure?
Potentially, yes. It's not 100% set in stone just yet, but I'm actually toying with the idea of doing a whole paranormal holiday in Nevada next year. Oh. So like a 10-night, one of my 10-night tours, and doing, aliens and ghosts in Nevada.
Oh, maybe I should try and work out when I'll be there.
I'm busy putting, a little something together there, and checking everything out at the moment. But yeah, I will be at Belgrove Plantation in Virginia in September next year for Sage Paracon. That's my wee little paranormal convention that we host in King George, Virginia.
Yeah, so check that out, guys. I haven't been to one because, I just haven't.
I mean, it's a little far.
It's a little far. It's not just around the corner. But yeah, but you're there every year, aren't you, for your Paracon?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one day their dream, Duncan and MJ's dream, is to live there, to live in America, because they love it that much. That's kind of my dream too. I rather love it too.
Really do. I just don't know which state to pick, because we love so many of them. We were talking about it the other night. I'm like, I don't know where we would settle, but ultimately one day I'd like to be out there. I got a load of friends and family and that out there. So yeah.
Right. Well, okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this little chat with MJ, and I'll see you on the weekend with my regular little chat or whatever I do. And thank you, MJ. Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
I appreciate it.
No, it was fun. It was lovely seeing you again. So yeah, everybody, check out MJ's stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care, guys.